There is a quiet power struggle unfolding in Washington right now. It is not happening on a battlefield, and it is not unfolding through dramatic emergency announcements. Instead, it is taking place inside Congress, where lawmakers are once again confronting one of the most serious constitutional questions in American politics. Who has the authority to take the United States into military conflict? At the center of this debate is Donald Trump and a growing disagreement within the Republican Party itself. In early 2026, several Republican senators found themselves divided over presidential war powers, raising questions that go far beyond partisan politics. This is not a story about personalities or political drama. It is a story about power, limits, and how the American system responds when those limits are tested. To understand why this matters, it helps to step back and look at how war powers work in the United States. Under the Constitution, Congress holds the power to declare war, while the President serves as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. This division was intentional. The founders wanted military leadership to be decisive, but they also wanted it to be accountable. After the Vietnam War, Congress passed the War Powers Resolution of 1973. Its purpose was to prevent presidents from committing the country to prolonged military engagement without congressional approval. The law allows a president to deploy forces in emergencies, but it requires Congress to authorize continued military action. On paper, this framework seems clear. In practice, it has been a source of conflict for decades, with presidents of both parties pushing the boundaries of executive authority. That tension resurfaced in January 2026. According to reporting from Reuters, a war powers resolution was introduced in the U.S. Senate aimed at limiting the president's ability to engage in certain military actions without congressional authorization. The resolution was not about launching a war or responding to an immediate crisis. It was about reinforcing congressional oversight and preventing unilateral decisions with long-term consequences. What surprised many observers was that the resolution initially gained traction. It advanced further than expected, signaling growing concern within Congress, including among Republicans. This alone was significant. It suggested that unease about executive war powers was no longer confined to one political party. As the vote approached, however, the situation shifted. Reporting from the Associated Press showed that several Republican senators who had initially supported placing limits on presidential war powers later reversed their positions. Public explanations varied. Some cited the need for national security flexibility. Others emphasized party unity or warned against weakening the presidency during uncertain global conditions. Ultimately, the resolution was blocked. Headlines quickly followed suggesting that Republican senators had turned against Donald Trump, but the reality was more complex. This was not an open rebellion or a personal attack on the president. It was a constitutional disagreement over where authority should reside and how far any president's power should extend. Some GOP senators argued that war powers must remain balanced and that no president should be able to commit the country to conflict without meaningful congressional involvement. Others argued that the president needs room to act quickly in matters of national security, where delays could carry serious risks. Both sides framed their arguments in terms of protecting the national interest. Around the same time, a similar debate unfolded in the House of Representatives. According to AP News, the House voted on a related war powers resolution, resulting in a tied vote. That outcome mattered. A tie reflects division, not consensus. It showed a government wrestling with itself over authority, responsibility, and the proper limits of executive power. This kind of friction is not necessarily a sign of dysfunction. In many ways, it is exactly what the system was designed to produce. Checks and balances are meant to slow down decisions that carry enormous consequences, even when doing so creates political tension. The war powers debate also carries implications far beyond Washington. Allies watch closely when internal disagreements emerge in the U.S. government. Adversaries do the same. These debates send signals about stability, resolve, and decision-making processes. As Reuters analysts have noted, war powers disputes tend to resurface during periods of global uncertainty when the possibility of military involvement feels real even if no conflict is imminent. This moment is not about an immediate war. It is about future decisions. It is about who gets to decide and under what conditions. That is why this episode matters for Donald Trump, for the Republican Party, and for the broader political system. For Trump, the debate highlights a familiar challenge, balancing strong executive leadership with institutional limits. For the GOP, it exposes internal questions about loyalty, constitutional duty, and the long-term role of presidential authority. These questions are not going away. They will return whenever military power is on the table. Experts broadly agree on a few points. The war powers debate is not over. Similar resolutions are likely to reappear in future Congresses. And while nothing about this episode suggests an immediate crisis, it does indicate heightened sensitivity around presidential authority and congressional oversight. The most important takeaway from this story is simple. This is not about war breaking out. It is about how the American system functions before war ever begins. The most consequential battles in politics are often quiet ones, fought long before decisions reach the battlefield. Checks and balances are not always smooth. They are often uncomfortable and politically costly. But moments like this show the system operating as intended, even when it exposes internal divisions. The next time you hear phrases like war powers, Congress versus the president, or party divisions, remember this episode. It is a reminder that power in the United States is not supposed to be simple or uncontested. It is meant to be questioned, debated, and restrained. If you value clear, fact-based analysis of U.S. politics without hype or fear, consider subscribing to this channel. Here the focus is on understanding power structures, not chasing headlines. If this breakdown helped clarify a complex issue, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Should Congress have more control over military decisions, or should the president retain broader authority? I'll see you in the next analysis.